Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to make horns in this game. I'm going to show you all three types of horns and how to make them. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to press clear. Anyway, first we're going to talk about three-part horns. I actually have a good example of one. Looks like there are a lot of TGV horns in this game. So this is a horn that I created called TGV horn 3-part. Basically, I designed it so that when you hold the horn button, at first it plays the higher of the two pitches of the horn, like, but then as you continue to hold on to the H button, it plays the lower tone and goes, and then when you let go of the H button, it plays the higher tone of the horn again. So yeah, let me show you how I got it to do that. So I'm going to Control-Shift-E so you can see all the files. So here is idle 1. That's just the bell, basically. So any sound that you want to happen when you press the B button is idle 1. Idle spacebar 1. One time I made the mistake of typing as idle _1. That didn't turn out too well. So here you have an image. You can basically name it anything you want. Just don't put any foreign symbols in it, like anything from the Russian language, the Japanese language. It doesn't like letters like that for some reason. It's very racist. It only wants English symbols. Anyway, so yeah, the image is basically the thing you see when you see it on the download station, the preview that lets you know what you're downloading, basically. Here's the config file. Don't really have to worry about that because it basically writes itself as you're making the horn. Here you have a folder. Again, this is a 3-part horn. So here there's going to be a folder that's called horn. Inside this folder are three types of horns. You have start. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, this surround sound has like a thing where it turns off after a certain amount of time. I haven't figured out how to change that because I lost the manual. Anyway, so this is start .wave. This sound file, this is a .wave file that basically is the sound that you hear as soon as you press the H button. And it has to be pretty long, because if it's too short, you're gonna hear a pause between the first and second sounds. So this is what it sounds like. Hold on, I'm not getting a sound for some reason. You know what I really hate about computers? When the sound refuses to work and it's just a mute sound. Like, it says it's connected to the TV, but for some reason, I'm not hearing a sound. Why? Use this device. Properties. I don't know. I'm just clicking randomly and hoping that one of these things actually makes sound happen. Let's see. This device is working. Oh, this device is working properly. Well, if that's the case, then how come when I click on this sound, I can't hear it? That's the annoying thing about computers. They say that the thing is working properly. You can't hear sound. That kind of means it's not working properly. Let's see what change settings does. Yeah, that doesn't really give me any options. Details. Yeah, I'm not finding anything. Okay, I can't figure out. Maybe if I unplug the HDMI cable and replug it. The device you are configuring has been removed. Still no sound. Stupid computer. Okay, I'm going to have to restart the computer just to get sound. So, pardon me while I restart the computer and load these files over again. Restarting. It says it will take several minutes, but Sometimes it takes 6 hours because that's how slow this computer is. Can't even handle the simple task of restarting. Well, my computer is doing that thing it likes to do where I double click the icon and it just ignores the fact that I clicked on it as if nothing happened. That used to really get on my nerves when I was a kid, and it still does. It asks me if I'm sure I want to run the program. I click yes and no, and big surprise, nothing shows up. Okay, can you please exit out of this? Because I'm not using that. Okay, the game finally decides to load, so maybe I can finish this tutorial. So yeah, on a 3-part horn, like I was showing you earlier, there's a folder called horn. There are 3 files: idle 1, start, and stop. This is start. Still no sound. Stupid computer. Why can I not hear sound through this? Okay, since the stupid computer refuses to play sound through the surround sound right now, even though it claims that it's working properly, I'm going to have to unplug the HDMI right now and just use the computer speakers. Sadly, that's going to sound slightly worse than through the surround sound, but I don't have a choice right now because the computer just doesn't want to play sound through an HDMI cable at this time. So, this is the start.wave file. Hopefully this time we'll actually hear it. So yeah, this is basically a 1.5 second long file of the sound you will hear as soon as you press the H button. Here we have idle 1. This is the sound you hear as you're holding the H button. And stop is basically the sound you hear when you let go of the H button. So yeah, that's how 3-part horns work. Finally we're able to hear it. So let me show you how a 1-part horn works. Now on a 1-part horn there are just 2 sound files. The horn, which is the button you hear when you press the H button. And that's it. And then idle 1, of course, is the bell sound, or basically the sound that happens when you press the B button. If the train you're using doesn't have a bell, you can program it so another sound plays when you press the B button, like say a departure announcement or something. So yeah, that's the idle 1. Now a 2-part horn. I usually use 2-part horns specifically when making freight train horns because it's necessary for the railroad crossings and stuff. So here's a Union Pacific SD70 ACE horn I made. I'm going to Control-Shift-E so we can look at the files required to make it. So this is a 2-part horn. We have horn start, which is horn underscore start, which is the sound you hear when you first press the H button. Sorry about that. I had it on repeat because the surround sound takes a while for the sound to get to it before it starts playing. So I had to put it on repeat so you can actually hear it by the time it turns out. Anyway, this is horn loop. If you're lucky, you can get a horn where the driver blows his horn for a really long time, and that makes it really easy to loop it and it not sound like it's repeating too much. But that rarely happens. So this is horn loop. This is the button you hear. This is the sound you hear as you continue to hold on to the H button. Okay, I don't think you need a horn end button on a 2-part horn. That might be obsolete because I've seen that on some of the older ones, but I don't think you actually need one to make the actual sound. And this one is also not necessary. This is just horn. I usually just make it the same as the horn loop file. And of course we have idle 1, which is the bell sound again. It's really hard to make a good bell sound with some freight locomotives because it's hard to hear it over the sound of the train operating in most cases. So I didn't get a good sound with this one. The other thing is, the bells, usually you can only hear it chime one time as a locomotive is passing. Like, you really hear it well enough to make a sound out of it. Usually you can only hear it that well once, so it's going to sound very repetitive in most cases. And then if the train is moving, then you're going to hear a Doppler effect that one time you can hear it, so it's always going to sound like it's driving past you instead of you're actually being next to it. And that's the problem I always have with making bells for freight locomotives. It's a lot easier for passenger locomotives because they tend to ring the bell while they're stopped at a station, so you can easily hear it chime several times without the locomotive actually operating. So I'm making some Metra horns for the Metra stuff that they have in this game. I already made an F40C horn, and I'm going to show you these horns later, obviously. But first I'm going to make a horn for these other locomotives that I have in the game. Let's see, what was next on my list? F40C, I guess an F40PHM-2. Also, I'm gonna make a video where I debut all these horns. I'm going to put the link in the description on where you can get these locomotives, because I was able to find the link again to them. So here I'm gonna make an F40PHM-2 horn. So to make a new horn, you press Control N. This one's gonna be a 2-part horn, because that's usually ideal for passenger locomotives. 3-part horns are good for 2-tone horns, but they're not really that useful for American horns. So, horn sound. Here where it says username, that's just the name you want it to be. I'm going to make it Metra F40. F40PHM-2 horn. Okay, now a few other things. This where it says Trainz build, it has to be 3.5 or higher, or you won't be able to upload it to the download station. I'll show you how to fix that later. Okay, for author, of course I'm going to type my username for here. Some authors skip this part because they're too lazy to put it up here, but it's important to have your contact information in case there's a problem with the product, so they can try to resolve it. Okay, category era. I usually don't pay that much attention to this because it really doesn't matter when you're just talking about a horn sound. But later on, I'm gonna actually research when this locomotive was created, so I can, you know, make that more accurate. Okay, for now I'll just say it was created in the 2000s and 2010s. I'm gonna fix that later if that's not accurate. Okay, so category region, of course the location this locomotive operates in, which is the United States. So I'm gonna have to scroll down this list to find it. Now to get this drop down list, you right click here, and then it gives you options of what you want this thing that you're making to do. So contact email, I'm going to type my contact email. Okay, there we have my contact email. Let's see, contact website. I don't really have a contact website, so I usually just use my YouTube channel as my contact website, because it is a website through which I can be contacted. So yeah, I'm just gonna go to my channel and paste the URL for it. My channel, copy, paste. Okay, now I have a contact website. Now, description. A lot of people leave this blank, especially if it's self-explanatory. I usually just say what it is if there's nothing real special about it. So I'm just gonna say a Metra, F40 PHM-2 horn. If there was something special about the horn, like press the B button to hear this special sound effect, I would point that out too. Category keyword, let's see, description in other languages. The only other language up here that I know is Spanish, so I sometimes put a description in Spanish as well. Would be nice if I could put a description in Japanese as well, but this doesn't accept Japanese symbols. Okay, let's see. License must have. Okay, here it gives you an option to choose between 3-part or 2-part. By default, it's going to be a 1-part horn. If you want it to be a 2-part horn, you click here. If you want it to be a 3-part horn, you click here. Also, if you select 2-part and this isn't checked, then it's going to treat it like a 1-part horn. So have this checked if you want it a 2-part. Username in other languages, in case the name of it will be different in a language. And here's the thumbnail, which you need to have to upload it to the download station. Now, the actual dimensions of the picture doesn't really matter. I usually use 256 by 180 because that seems to be the one that is best capable of handling. Now, it's going to tell me that I don't have a picture selected yet, so I'm going to go ahead and download one. So, Metra. What just happened? What happened to the... for some reason Google just exited out of itself. It basically just committed suicide. Not sure why it did that. Okay, Metra F40 PHM-2. Okay, and then I'm just going to choose a picture I think is the best. I guess I'll use this one. It's a pretty good and decent picture, so I'm going to save the image as... It doesn't really matter what you name it. So I'm just going to name it Metra F40 PHM-2. You can choose pretty much any name you name it. Like I said, don't put any foreign symbols in it or it won't accept it. It's going to say it points to a non-existent file or something like that, but the file was unreadable. So under image, click on this to insert a preview image for this product. Now go to pictures or wherever it downloads the pictures that you download onto the computer, and then just scroll until you find it. Where is... Here it is. Now copy. Now right click on it and click copy. Then go back here and paste it into the new asset folder. It has to be in this folder or it won't work. So now just Control S to save it. There are other things that have to be done before this can be used. And we can start making the sound files. So now it just says new asset. Press Control. Why you keep unselecting things? Stupid computer. Did anyone tell you to unselect this? So Control M to commit it. Now it says Metra F40PH. Now the preview is kind of rough. That usually happens when you use a very high detailed picture on this. And knowing that, I'm going to downsize it a little bit. Make it a little less detailed. So Control Shift E. To do that, I'm just basically gonna shrink the size of the photo. So right click on this, open with Paint. If I'm not mistaken, Paint is already included on most computers. So hold on, I'm going to resize this photo by clicking here. Resize. The pixels do not maintain aspect ratio. Now I'm gonna make it 256 by 1 80, like I said earlier. It seems to be a photo size that this is very good at processing. So, Control S to save it. Now Control M to save that. Now the preview looks a little bit better. Now Control Shift E. Now there's another thing we have to fix by opening the config file by double clicking it. Now it says Trainz build at 3.4. It has to be 3.5 or higher, or you can't upload it to the download station. I'm not sure why it automatically has it as 3.4. In spite of that, I find that very irritating. Okay, now with this folder still open, I'm going to insert the sound files I want to make for it. First, I need to download them. So basically, a lot of people, when they make sound effects for this game, they get the sounds from YouTube. So just go to YouTube and search the sound that you're trying to make. In this case, Metra F40 PHM-2 horn. It's a lot harder to find a bell. You just have to get lucky and hope the bell was ringing in one of these pictures, one of these videos. So yeah, just download the one you just click on the video you want. Then just right click on the URL and click copy. Then paste it on any kind of YouTube video downloader. I have this called Free Make Video Downloader. Here it would say paste URL, and then it's gonna ask me what format I want to download it as. Just click on the format and then click download. I already have the sounds that I need, so I'm not going to download it, obviously. Now here I have Free Make Audio Converter. This converts the entire video into, oh yeah, be careful when you're downloading these, because they try to add a bunch of other pointless stuff on your computer, like Chromium or Byte Fence and a bunch of other stupid stuff you don't need in the computer. So yeah, here it's gonna say audio. Now here are a bunch of videos I have. All I have to do is click the one I want. Okay. And then click open. Now here I click convert. This converts the whole video into a .wav file, so you can edit it the way you want for it to appear in the game. Now it's converting it. I also have a separate video for making the bell of this video, because I happened to find another video where the horn wasn't that great, but the bell sounded a lot better. So here I have audio. Let's see, F40 PHM-2 bell. Convert to a .wav file. Okay, conversion's complete. Now all I have to do is open Audacity by double clicking it. Okay, click on File, Import Audio. Let's see, Metro F40 PHM-2 horn. I usually make the horn files first because they take longer. Okay, this has to be split to mono because it only opens mono sound files in this game. If it's stereo, then it creates a sound glitch where basically the horn can be heard from everywhere, and it's actually a very annoying glitch. I used to have the glitch at first because I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So yeah, now I'm going to play the sound and figure out where I want, which parts I want to use. This may take a while. Okay, I'm just gonna skip over here because this is probably where the horn's gonna be. Is that all that I have of the horn blowing? I mean, the horn being blown, because that's not that much. Well, this might end up having to be a one-part horn instead, because all I have is the horn being blown for a short period of time, and it's pretty much impossible to loop it like that because it's just gonna sound extremely repetitive. When that's the case, I use a one-part horn because that's all I can do. So let me see. So about there is where the horn is being blown. Okay, so let me hear that again. I kind of don't want the bell to be heard while you're blowing the horn, so it's kind of hard to get everything outside of the sound. So basically I'm just playing around with this until I get it sounding exactly the way I want. I guess that sounds okay. So I'm going to amplify it because it's not going to be heard in the game the way it is. Basically I'm amplifying it as high as it goes. Do not save it in the game like this though, because it's going to sound way too loud. Now I'm going to compress it. Now it's going to sound like this, which is a little bit louder, but it still could be a little bit louder. So I'm going to amplify it a little bit to like 6 or something. I usually just choose a random number and hope it works. Well, that's pretty loud. I think it'll work in the game. So export selected audio, because obviously I don't want the whole audio. Now I have to find the folder where these sounds are going to be placed. In this computer, it'll be located in this PC, Windows C drive, program files x86, whatever that means. N3V games, Trainz Simulator 2012, user data, editing. I hate having to go through all these folders to get to the product because it feels so tedious anyway. Metra F40PH M-2 horn. Okay, now since I'm making a one-part horn after all instead of a two-part horn, I'm just going to name this horn. I'm not going to make any of the horn start or you know, horn loop that I showed you earlier because those are only for two-part horn. It's going to be a one-part horn. Because like I said, I don't have a long enough sound for it, of it blowing its horn for a longer period of time. And believe me, I looked. I could not find any video where the horn was being blown for like 30 seconds. I guess they have some kind of noise ordinance or something, or they just didn't want to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna make the bell for this. So I'm going to import it, then audio. Let's see, Metra F40PH M-2 bell. I found a video where the the bell was more easily audible. So yeah, split this to mono, delete one of them. Okay, so just gotta look for the area where the bell is being rang. It's probably over here somewhere. Maybe it's over here. That's probably the horn. That's actually a better horn than the one I used earlier. Maybe I'll use that instead. At least it's being blown for a longer period of time, right? Let me see what that sounds like. Well, you can hear the bell in the background, and it's really hard to get that out, so I'll just keep the one I have. Anyway, where does the bell start ringing? Well, I can't use the part where the horn was being blown. Okay, now to test if it sounds okay and repeat, hold the shift button and click on this green button for repeat, and we'll see if it sounds okay when repeated. I usually don't get it right in the first try. It usually takes a lot of trial and error. But once I get it the way I want it, then I'm gonna save it. Okay, it doesn't sound quite right. So I'm going to move that a little bit and see if that sounds better. Okay, that sounds pretty good on repeat. Doesn't sound too repetitive. It sounds like just like the bell is just ringing constantly, and that's basically what you want. So this isn't loud enough to be heard in the game again, so I have to amplify it. Then now see what it sounds like. Okay, that's loud enough. Don't have to make it any louder. Okay, so export selected audio. This time it remembers the folder that I put it in because it was recent. So I'm going to name this Idle 1. Now another thing has to be changed. Since I made this a 1-part horn instead. Okay, first save this. Control M. Since I made this a 1-part horn instead of my original plan to make it a 2-part horn, I have to change that in the Content Creator Plus. So Control Shift C to edit it once again. Okay. Now where it says 2-part, I click out that check mark. Now it's a 1-part horn. So Control M. And that's pretty much how you make a horn.